There's a moment in betrayal that feels like your soul steps outside your body. A surreal kind of silence where everything you trusted begins to crumble. You start asking questions that echo through your chest. Did I miss the signs? Was I not enough? Did they ever really love me? The pain isn't just about what happened. It's about what it meant to you, to your story, to the version of love you thought you had. But here's what most people miss. Cheating is rarely just about desire. It's not always about falling in love with someone else. Sometimes it's about falling out of love with the self they became in the relationship. People betray for reasons hidden even from themselves. Some are running from vulnerability. Some are chasing a fantasy where they feel powerful again. Some are addicted to validation because deep down they feel disposable. They use cheating as a way to silence the parts of them that feel small, trapped, or unseen. For others, it's not about the other person at all. It's about reclaiming a part of themselves they lost, a reckless version, a freer version, or simply one that doesn't feel weighed down by responsibility, routine, or their own emotional numbness. None of this justifies the betrayal, but it explains why it happens even when love is still present. Because love alone doesn't heal someone's wounds, and a relationship can never be more honest than the people inside it are with themselves. You can be everything someone said they wanted, and they'll still betray you. Not because you weren't enough, but because betrayal often comes from a place within them that has nothing to do with you. Some people don't know how to sit with peace. They crave chaos because it feels familiar. Maybe they grew up around unstable love, the kind that punishes closeness or withdraws affection without reason. So, when they finally experience a healthy connection, they sabotage it, because stability feels foreign and pain feels like home. Others cheat because they're afraid of being seen too deeply. Love asks you to open, to be known, to be chosen even in your imperfections. But not everyone is ready for that level of intimacy. So they run, not with their feet, but with their actions. They create distance through betrayal, so they never have to stand naked in their truth. Then there are those who cheat because they're chasing a high, not of lust, but of identity. Being desired makes them feel alive again. Wanted, powerful, like they still have control over something. Especially if their self-worth is low. And sometimes, people betray because they feel betrayed first, not by you, but by life, by their unfulfilled dreams, by their disappointment in who they've become, by the ache of wondering if this is all there is. So they act out, and you become the collateral damage in a war they're quietly waging within themselves. It hurts, because betrayal by someone you love feels like losing a part of yourself you thought was safe. Cheating isn't always about falling for someone new. Sometimes, it's about falling out of alignment with yourself. Many betrayals happen in moments of deep internal disconnect. The person cheating isn't just lying to their partner, they're lying to themselves. About what they want, about who they are, about what they're avoiding. People don't always cheat because they stop loving their partner. They cheat because they stop recognizing themselves. And instead of confronting that mirror, they reach for distraction, for someone who lets them pretend, just for a while, that they're still the version of themselves they miss. In truth, infidelity is rarely spontaneous. It starts long before the act, in tiny choices, in unresolved resentment, in emotional withdrawal that goes unnoticed, in boundaries that slowly blur. And behind it all, a person who doesn't know how to ask for what they really need, so they take what they think will fill the void. For some, cheating is an escape hatch. Not just from the relationship, but from accountability, from responsibility, from the fear of facing the parts of them that feel broken. So they rewrite the narrative. I cheated because I wasn't getting enough love. I cheated because they changed. I cheated because I was lonely. But none of those stories make the truth easier to swallow. Because at the root of betrayal is a choice. And even if it came from pain, it still left a scar. Cheating doesn't just break trust. It breaks the reality two people were building together. And in that fracture, something innocent always dies. Cheating often reveals more about the betrayer's emotional blueprint than the relationship itself. Some people grow up in homes where love was conditional, where affection had to be earned, where they were taught, subtly or explicitly, that safety comes from control, and intimacy is something to be feared, not trusted. So even when they find real love, a part of them waits for it to collapse. Because chaos feels more familiar than peace, betrayal can become a way to regain control, to sabotage the very thing they deeply crave, because vulnerability feels too dangerous. It's easier to destroy something good than risk it being taken from them. Other times, cheating stems from unhealed wounds, a need to be desired, validated, seen. But instead of asking their partner for reassurance, they seek it in secret. Not because their partner failed them, but because they never learned how to receive love without suspicion. You'd be surprised how many people are terrified of being truly known. So they present versions of themselves that are curated, safe, surface level. Cheating lets them stay behind the mask and avoid the deeper, messier work of real intimacy. And here's the paradox. Some people cheat even when they're happy, because contentment feels unfamiliar, because they're addicted to the emotional high of newness, because they confuse intensity with love. This doesn't excuse betrayal, but it helps explain why it happens in even the perfect relationships. Because at the core of every betrayal is someone trying to meet an unmet need through the most self-sabotaging means possible. Cheating isn't always about sex. It's often about emotion. An emotional affair can be just as devastating, sometimes even more, because it involves secrecy, shared intimacy, and the parts of a person they no longer bring home. It usually starts small. A conversation here, a joke there, a slow, steady drift towards someone who makes them feel seen in a new way. And they justify it by saying, "It's harmless, we're just friends." But emotional betrayal often begins when someone starts turning away from their partner with their inner world and towards someone else with their truth. It's about who they text when something good happens, who they confide in when they're stressed, who they want to impress. Little shifts unnoticed at first, until the trust is gone. And when confronted, many say, "But I didn't sleep with them," as if betrayal only counts once it becomes physical. But the body is often just the last place the heart arrives. Real intimacy isn't just about what you do with your body. It's about where you place your energy, your attention, your loyalty. And when those things are directed elsewhere, even in silence, a fracture begins. Because betrayal isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the quiet absence of presence, the steady fading of a connection, as someone chooses to be emotionally known by another. Cheating isn't always about wanting someone new. It's often about wanting to feel like someone new. Many betrayals don't begin with bad intentions. They begin with unmet needs that go unspoken. When people feel unseen, unheard, or emotionally neglected, even in a loving relationship, they start to question their own worth. And instead of turning toward their partner with vulnerability, they look outward for validation. Not because they stopped loving their partner, but because they stopped feeling loved by them. And here's where things get dangerous. Instead of expressing, they suppress, they convince themselves, "I shouldn't need this, I should be fine." But needs don't disappear, they leak out in behaviors. Flirting becomes a coping mechanism. Lying becomes easier than confrontation. And the attention of another starts to feel like a lifeline. Cheating, in these cases, is less about lust and more about rescue. A way to escape the pain of disconnection without doing the scary work of confronting it head on. It's not always calculated. It's not always cruel, but it is avoiding the discomfort of being honest, avoiding the fear of rejection, avoiding the reality that sometimes love still needs effort to survive. This doesn't excuse betrayal, but it helps us understand that the root is often buried in silence, not in malice. People betray when they feel like they've lost themselves, in a relationship that no longer mirrors who they are or who they want to be. Because when communication breaks down, temptation often walks in.